Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are back on the dev server, and it's now time to have a look at the new Russian SAM system, which is coming into the game in the next major update. As you can see, this is the 9K317M BUK-M3 TADS, and it is absolutely massive, which is why my camera has to go this far back. Luckily, if we want to, I could go this far back and show you basically all of the different pieces. But what this is of course the command vehicle and slash radar vehicle that you're going to get access to. There is also the other one, which is the TEL system. This is actually also massive. And it is the missile launcher system, which is going to fire the missiles. So it's just a standard multi-vehicle SAM, very similar to pretty much everything else that has come in the last few updates. As Gaijin said, they were going to add one of these systems to pretty much every nation. So in the last update, they added a bunch in, and now this update, they're kind of finishing the set with one for Britain, one for France and Italy, and one for Russia as well. The BUK-M3 is one of the more modern systems that Russia uses for air defense, so it isn't too surprising to see it in the game, alongside stuff like the IRIS and also the Skysaber. One of the cool things about this is it has a big washing board on the front of it, which is basically the search radar antenna. And you can see it has a range of 140 kilometers, a massive search zone, and then also all of these standard factors that you would want. Looking in the vehicle as well, you have the highly detailed engine, radiator, and also power system, and then of course the electronic equipment in the front. This thing only has 3 crew members, surprisingly, all in the front little portion. So if you were worried about survivability, I don't think this thing's going to have a lot. You have 9mm of armor around the place. You have some places with 4mm, but let's be honest, you know, we're not looking at these vehicles and be like, oh, I wonder how are we going to survive in them, because they're just going to die, right? Like you could literally just hit it here and it won't overpressure the target. Hold up, what? No, that should definitely. But anyway, yeah, you could hit it here and okay, for some reason you can't overpressure this. I wonder what's going on. There you go. So that side got overpressured. All right. So looks like they're doing the funny compartment game where only certain vehicles have to worry about their compartments and others don't. Never mind. Of course, it's Russian. So the good old BUK-M3 has a really cool radar, very, very long range. And the missile that the launcher uses is this one, the 9M317MA, which has 1,550 meters per second. It's also an active radar homing missile, and it has a launch range of 70 kilometers. Now, this thing also has a massive warhead on it of 45 kilos and a trigger radius of 25 meters, which is pretty decent for any missile in terms of it. So the missile itself looks really nice. The only issue, just looking at its standard stats here, is of course the 30G overload, which is going to be a bit of a problem. But the trigger radius being 25 meters is absolutely fantastic. You know, if you have a look at a few other vehicles, so once again, the Skysaber that's coming in, you can see here the CAMMER has a trigger radius of 6 meters, whereas the new SAM system for the SAMPT for the Italian and French has a trigger radius of 2 meters. So because the warhead is so big on this BUK-M3, it only has to get close to the target and it will just absolutely massacre it. So that's something that you have to take into account. Even though it doesn't turn as well, it also doesn't have to be as accurate as other SAMs. It still has to get, you know, within 25 millimeters, but at the same time, 25 meters, but at the same time, everything else having to get way closer is going to be more of a problem. So the launcher itself, it is a 6 rounded thing. You can see here it has basically just a little missile silo on the back of it. And then also you have the electronic equipment. You have this massive tracking radar or tracking radar director, and then the gunner optics, which is right here too. Now, they did say on the dev stream that when it came to this vehicle, you could technically use it without the radar. So I don't know whether they're going to actually put that in or not. But technically, this vehicle has access to active radar homing missiles. So you could I keep wanting to say raw dog, but that's not the right one. You can thingy dog, mad dog, there you go. Mad dog the missiles, just like you can do with the Japanese little vehicle that's there. But these ones, of course, will be a little bit crazier, especially since they have the ridiculous kind of lock range of 70 kilometers. So these are coming in with very much different stats compared to a lot of the other vehicles that are around the place, but they still will be incredibly effective for what you want them to do. And that's pretty much what's, you know, going to come in for this a lot. The major thing with, you know, Russia is because they have the Panzer and because they have a lot of other very powerful vehicles in supportive roles, they're always going to have an issue where people are just never going to be happy with the fact that they get something nice. And this is another vehicle which is at least on par with a lot of the other ones, which is around the place. And also, because of many of its factors, you can see actually it does turn pretty well and actually has pretty decent mobility for being an absolute massive machine. It'll be interesting to see how many people are happy with this vehicle kind of existing because, you know, they already had a pretty powerful AA, just not on the same level as the new ones that were brought in. So this is what, you know, the standard radar vehicle looks like. At the same time, it does actually have a really cool animation to be able to close everything. So if you want to be a lot smaller and you want to somehow kind of hide this thing, you can do it a little bit more effectively. When you have the washing board up and also the big kind of spike up there, you ain't hiding this at all. And it's going to be very, very hard to do. Now, this is the launcher system. The actual launcher, as you can see, is actually very fast. It might be a little bit too fast in terms of how it turns. I feel like they might want to kind of have a look at that. And then it fires the missiles in a pretty kind of like high way. And then there it kind of goes. So the vehicle itself, I feel like they're going to slow it down. In terms of its rotation, it just seems too unnaturally fast, and because it launches straight upwards, it's not going to be great against vehicles that are super close to it, but at the same time, that's not really what it's designed for, right? It's designed for vehicles which are miles away to be able to go after. And because of the fact that these missiles have such a ridiculous active radar homing head on them, they're actually going to be able to, you know, basically just fire at targets from miles away anyway. You can see the turn on them too, like the fact that it's only 30 G's overload isn't going to affect them that much. The issue that is going to affect them is, as I said, when targets are close, and therefore it's going to be harder to be able to find them in. See, whoa, where's that missile going? Is it doing a rotation? But yeah, so this guy's 1K away, right? So the missile's going to find it a lot harder to readjust to something like that, but not impossible. And also, with only 6 missiles, you technically get less than a lot of the other machines that have 8 missiles before you have to actually reload them. The other thing is, as well, is these things are just massive. Like, they're absolutely huge in terms of the game. And it looks like they basically use the same platform, so it should have the same mobility. It's just going to be real interesting to see how this thing kind of does compared to a lot of the other ones that are there. Because, as I said, it has all of the things that should make it really fun. It has all of the factors that should make it good. But at the same time, since it's a little bit different than the other ones, you never know, right? Like, things might change and things might maneuver around. But whatever happens, it's another vehicle to try and stop a lot of the cast threat that has come in for many others. And I don't think there's many people who can basically say that's not good. So nice to see them bring it in, and hopefully now we can see what this new CAS, kind of an anti-CAS meta, looks like, instead of just haves and have-nots, which is what we had before. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day. Oh, wait, I'm actually going to check something first. Can this thing float? Because if I remember correctly... Okay, no, I remember wrong. I thought this thing had hydropneumatic for some reason. But can it float? No. We will sink with this ship. But that also shows, look, you can actually use these vehicles without the thing too. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Oh dear. Back to Moscow. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.